So we're going to have a little crack at getting this. Is it a stator plate? Basically it's where the points are located. May not be right with the terminology, not too sure. I think there's a very long screw that goes in the side. Maybe pins it onto the shaft. Let's have a look. I think that locates it for the timing as well. I don't think you can adjust the timing on these. Again, from what I've looked at, again, I'm no expert. I think the timing's fixed. You can adjust the points gap. It's relatively modern ignition on these. Nothing electronic, I don't think, but looks a bit more modern than some of the other ones that I've seen. So there's the long pin that was located in it. So I think with a bit of work. Yeah, and as you can see, there's a locating bolt just in there, which is obviously where this drops into. Just to keep the timing static, I suppose. So I am putting the voice. That's probably going to be the best way to do it. I can be a bit harsh doing it. This is what we got so far. Set of points there. Let's see if I cleaned up. Let's see what we can do with the back. Cleaner. Give it a bit of a squirt. It smells amazing. So things are looking a little bit cleaner. Tidy up. Put a bit more carb cleaner in there. Look at the inside. Now we've got the crankcase and the piston next. So it's a Y-Pack. What does it say? It's a C-Pack ignition by Y-Pack. Exclusively for British Seagull. With the, yeah, we've also cleaned up the, what do they call it? Storm Guard, I think. This is the choke. Maybe a little bit too much carburetor cleaner. Made the choke look a bit of a funny colour. I'm not going to get too fussy about that yet. Don't know whether to give this a bit of a, I'm going to do it now, I've started. Clean inside and out. Storm Guard. Goes on the inlet of the carburetor. Clamp for the exhaust. Bit of rust creeping through that in places, but overall it's in good nick. Not too sure what to do about this piece. Apparently there's a filter in there, so I might just see whether we can get that out. Give that a bit of a soak and some carb cleaner. So what we have here, that tiny little filter. So the fuel comes in the side, that sits on the bottom of the carburetor. Let's just find that. It's on the bottom of that carb body. That one. And then the fuel line attaches to the side of that. And then the fuel gets sucked up through that, in through your jets, up into the car body. The air then goes through that way actually, because the Storm Guard goes on this side, mixes with the fuel that's coming up this direction, and then goes into your cylinder head, sorry, into your, on the two-stroke, into this side of the block, and then goes around the engine So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put a bit of carb cleaner in a cap from a aerosol can, and we'll let that have a bit of a soak. I'm going to soak both of those bits, and we're going to do a bit of a puff of the good stuff. Just give it a bit of an agitation. Might be able to see already that there's a load of stuff coming out of it. Have a look see here. So yeah, that filter's going to be a little bit freer. I'm sure there's years of furred up fuel varnish. So put that back there. Mustn't lose these little fibre O-rings. Those. Don't think I'll soak those because they might swell up. So I'm interested to see how we can get this apart. Again, we'll give it a bit of a cleaner for the rag first. We can get the cap off that. So the fuel initially comes in here and fills at the float chamber, and then flows out through a little hole in the bottom of there, and then goes up through that banjo bolt and up into the carburetor. So let's give it a bit of a clean off, see what we can get. This has been sprayed silver at some stage, so I don't think I'm going to wire brush it. But I'd like to get in there so we can make sure it's nice and clean inside. The lid on this amyl carb unscrews here, and there's a thing here called a tickler, which I believe never started one, but I'm going to be trying soon. Part of your starting procedure from cold only is what I've been told, is you flood the carburetor by pressing this button down here, which is what they call the tickler. Now I'm led to believe the tickler lets a bit of extra fuel in, and you should, that's part of the carburetor which I haven't found yet, you should start to see the fuel maybe dripping out or leaking out to show you that everything's nicely flooded with a good surge of fuel, and then you can give it a start. But apparently you only do that from cold, and I'm assuming the reason for that being is you don't want to be flooding a hot engine with excess fuel, because things might get a bit lively. So that doesn't want to come off by hand, but I'm a little bit concerned about getting the tools on it. We could try and see whether we can get a spanner on the top of it. There's one that fits quite nicely. It's the right width, so that won't rotate. It's always worth stopping and having another look at it just in case there's a better way. So here we go, take that lid off. What we got inside? So what we got here, and just in there you'll be able to possibly make out there's a little plunger in the bottom. So you've got this little nice brass float, which is, I've got these little soldered needle bits on there, lovely made. But I think it's quite, it's as simple as that. I'd say it's looking pretty shiny. So